In this demonstration, we're going to show you a system where you can fill out your court documents, apply electronic signatures using a signature pad at the same time you're having your video appearances or video hearings. There's going to be two users involved in the demonstration. One is the judge or magistrate who actually prepares the defendant documents for the appearance. The second user is going to be the jail assistant. So we're going to go ahead and log in as the judge or magistrate here into the system and start creating our defendant documents. When you first log in, you're going to go to the defendant file cabinet. You're going to see the folders filed by last name. We also have the date of birth, Social Security, and we put the offense, whether it was a felony or a misdemeanor. So to begin preparing our defendant documents for the appearance, we're going to click the new button to create a new folder. And we'll go ahead and put some date of births, Social Security number, and for the offense on this one we will do a felony. And once you have the defendant information plugged in, you go ahead and click create folder. And as you can see, we landed on the folder we just created, so now we want to open up that folder by either double clicking or click the open folder button. Once you're in the folder, you're going to click the new button, and then you're going to have a list of your court forms. Since this was a felony and this is an initial appearance, we're going to do the advice of rights document, which also includes the actual order. As you can see, we have a title for this document, so we have the ability to predetermine what the title will be. So we just click OK. It's going to bring up the form. And for the sake of time, I'm only going to put in the defendant name. And we will scroll down, go straight to the judge's signature field, where we just click on it with the mouse. It's going to bring up the signature screen, and then we can reach over and sign the signature pad and click accept. So that's the advice of rights. Then we want to go down and fill out the order and sign it. Click accept. So once we're finished completing the form and applying the judge or magistrate signatures, we click the red X in the top right to close it, and it's going to appear in the folder. Now we're going to hit the back button and go back to the folder screen, and we would just keep repeating that process until we have all of our defendants for today's appearances. For the sake of a real life like scenario here, I'm just going to open up some of these other defendant folders and just throw some documents in there so you can see what that experience is like on the jail side of things for the jail user. So we'll just put 3 or 4. I'm not going to do any signatures or filling out on this one. We just want to get some over there for the jail. Okay, so that's 4 defendants. We'll stop there. So we're going to log off now as the judge or magistrate, since we've completed all of our defendant documents for today's appearances. We're going to log off here. Now we're going to switch roles and go into the role as the user at the jail. When the jail person logs into the system, we've made this really simple. They can go down to the workflow button down here at the bottom left. All of the documents were automatically routed over to the jail user, and you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 defendants for today's appearances. The first one is Joey Green, which happens to be the very first one that I created. Now we're going to have to initiate a video call, and that's going to usually be coming from the magistrate or the judge. And we're using Skype, so this is kind of what that looks like. Once the call comes in, we just go ahead and answer it. And as soon as you answer it, you can just minimize it, and it'll put the judge up in the corner. and then we can begin calling up our first defendant. So we call up Joey Green, we open up the form, the judge or magistrate does their thing with the defendant, and there is a signature here, so the defendant's going to sign. The jail assistant would click on the field, have the defendant sign the signature pad. Jail assistant will click accept. That's going to put the defendant's signature in. And of course, here's the next page is the order. And underneath that, there's a lock. So we're going to click the lock button once the defendant has applied his signature. That's going to lock the form, and it's going to become just an image. It's not editable anymore at this point. You can click the print button to print a copy for the defendant, and then just close the form. Say yes to save the signatures. Once that defendant is finished, he sits down. We click the File to Cabinet button up here to remove that document from the inbox, and then we call up our next person, which is Ray Harris, and we go through the same process of opening up the form, applying the defendant's signature, and jail assistant clicks accept. We have a defendant signature. We go down to the bottom, click the lock button, click the print button to print out the defendant's copy, close the document, say yes to save it, and then we want to file that back to the defendant cabinet, and we call up the next person. We click the edit button to open up the form. Now the entire time you may have the judge up here in the corner. He may be speaking or doing what he does, and we will go down and sign this one. We'll click accept. Once we have the signature, we go down to the very bottom. We're going to lock the form. We're going to click the print button to print out the defendant's copy, and we're going to close the form, say yes to save the signature, and we're going to file our copy back to the file cabinet and into the defendant folder. The last one comes up, same thing. We click the edit to open up the form. Judge or magistrate does their thing. We click the defendant field, and this was Mona Kincaid. The jail assistant clicks accept, and we want to scroll down to the bottom, make sure that we click the lock to lock the form, click the print button to print out the defendant's copy, close the form, say yes to save the signatures and the locking, hit the File to Cabinet button to make this document go back to the defendant folder, and that's going to conclude the conclude today's initial appearances. So if the judge has anything to say, you can just click on that. It'll take him back to full screen. And once you do that, you can just close the video call. And that's going to be the end of today's appearances. Keep in mind that that defendant cabinet is available to the judge's offices. It can be available to the jail, and some folks have even asked if the district attorney could have access to the same cabinet, and the answer is yes, they can. So that's going to conclude this demonstration. Thank you very much for your attention.